So this is Sergey Evangelista with Century 21, and I'm speaking with Shane Prince about the Buyer Accepted program. We touched on how it helps buyers looking for a new home, but the program is actually designed to help sellers who are looking to relocate without risking being homeless in between or having to pay two mortgages. Is that right, Shane?
No, absolutely. I mean, it's really about getting your offer accepted while having that contingency, right? Or avoiding having that contingency in the first place. When it comes to selling your property, buying a house is stressful enough, right? Selling your house while looking for a new property adds that to in an infinite amount, right? So when it comes to the product that we can offer you, when it comes to a seller, it allows you to not have that contingent offer, right? Why go with as a selling agent, why go with a buyer that has a possible, purchase that's going to fall through, or a contingent buyer or a contingent, offer, when we can make sure that you don't have to worry about that. So we're allowing you to not only not have that contingent offer, but also get moved into your new property, have some time, have some freedom, not have to worry too much, and then sell your property within 90 days of you moving into that new home. So
Oh,
it
wow.
really allows you to get your offer accepted easily, and also allow you not to be a bit too clustered once you're moving into that new property that you just purchased.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's on the realtor side. It's definitely not fun to have a buyer who is completely contingent on a deal that you have nothing to do with and have no insight on.
Exactly. Right.
So taking that out, yeah, that would definitely alleviate a lot of the pressure that I would have going into an offer with that.
Right.
So you did mention a 90 days there. What
Yeah.
does that 90 days entail?
Yeah. So pretty straightforward here. We ensure, first of all, I want to clarify as far as the sell. Right. We do want to verify that they have their property listed within 14 days of moving into the new home. Right. Now, it technically does not have to sell within 90 days. Okay. So that buyer, they can get moved in, have a very simple rent back, place their property on the market. And then as long as that sells, as I said, within that 3-month period, then you're good, right? It avoids the entire contingent offer. There's no saying, hey, this may fall through, we may have issues with this. As you said earlier, it's just a lot of back and forth, right? So we cut that out. We control every part of the deal just to make sure we're all working together, not having any delays, having, problems on their financing. It allows them to get moved in, have that 90 days, right? In which, as I said, it's a rent back, and that's it.
Gotcha. So they have 90 days to actually sell and close out the program, or else you guys have to go into the second part of it, which you guys work with them on whatever the situation is.
Correct. Exactly.
How soon do they have to get their home on the market if they are using the buyer acceptor program as a contingent sale?
Right. So 14 days within them moving into the new property. So they do have to place it in the market fairly soon within the 2-week period, right? And that's all we really require as far as the sale. As long as it's listed within that 14 days, we're good to go.
Oh, so they actually have 2 weeks after they move into the new home.
Yeah.
Before.
Exactly. And that's what really alleviates a lot of pressure, right? I mean, as I said,
no kidding.
The biggest point about this process is saving people money with the 12% discount, right? Saving people time with getting their offer accepted for number one, being a cash buyer, number two, having no contingencies, right? But another third benefit that this also provides sellers, especially, is not having to worry, right? Not having to list this house, get it ready, buy this house, get the furniture moved in, right? You can focus on one thing at a time, let yourself, kind of ensure that that's the best, move possible for you, right? So you're not too worried about it. There's so many things that come into play when it comes to how this benefits you. But as I said, that 14-day period, that 90-day period, it's really nice just having that extra cushion. It really allows people to have that cushion and not have to worry too much.
Yeah, no kidding. I worked with a lot of sellers in the past who were really struggling. Do we do a rent back to get our home sold, or do we try to do a contingent sale at the same time? And it's like, there's no real right answer.
Yeah, and the
None of these
sales, they're a nightmare. I mean, as we discussed, it's really just about not having them to get the offer accepted, but also just for the quality of life for our seller, right? I mean, if they don't have to worry about that contingent sale, they don't have to line up the dates, they don't have to get the U-Hauls ready, right? It just makes everyone's life easier, especially that seller.
Yeah, and as realtors and lenders, if one part of any of this goes wrong on either of the homes, it's just a nightmare for like 18 people who are going to chew you out.
Exactly. And that's why we
that's
did the
very
full approval,
appreciated.
right? That's why we did the full
Exactly.
approval ahead of time, just to have no surprises, no hiccups, no issues, just a seamless transaction for the seller or buyer.
Gotcha. Fantastic. So it's a full approval process before you get them accepted for the buyer accepted program.
Yep.
So that way, when they get to the buying portion of it, they just put in the cash offer with like
And
no
it's
real
pretty much
contingency
done, right?
inspection.
Because going back to the fact, we're not just doing a pre-qualification here, right? We're not saying, hey, it looks good, you should be okay, we think you'll be fine. We're getting you fully through underwriting. We're confirming everything. So once you get into process after the cash closes, right? After the cash purchase closes, you're going back to that same underwriter that you originally got fully approved with. So you already know what to look for. You already have that relationship. We already know that you're fully approved and you have nothing to worry about. So it's really just peace of mind for the seller on multiple aspects.
Fantastic. All right. And then this actually kind of is a question for both the sellers when they're accepting offers and for the buyers when they're putting one in. It might be a basic question for a lot of people, but what are the benefits of a cash offer?
Well, a few, right? First of all, the savings, right? Studies show that right now these buyers are saving up to 12% just from a cash buyer from getting this offer accepted that they wouldn't have gotten accepted if they were using normal financing, right? So number one, you save thousands of money or cash, right? You're saving tons of money, you're saving tons of cash. Number two, it's allowing you to be more aggressive, right? You've got 20 offers within 24 hours when the property goes up, especially in the market we're in, right? So if you can set yourself aside and say, hey guys, I'm a cash buyer, I'm a person, I'm gonna be living in this property, and at the same time still being a cash buyer, not some foreign investor or something like that, it allows you to be more as aggressive as possible while giving those sellers the confidence, knowing that nothing's gonna fall through and that they're not gonna have any issues, right? The third benefit, as I said, is that rent back. Right? You don't need to sell your property prior to moving in. It really allows you to take your time, do it right, get the highest offer on your property, right? Because with this contingent sale, you might be in a rush, right? You might say, hey, you know what? I'm going to take this guy's offer for, let's say, $10,000 less because I need it to sell for my new property. Well, hey, if you don't have that rush, take your time, get the best offer possible, and make as much money as possible on your property you're selling, right?
Yeah.
Combined with the 12% that you're normally saving from the purchase, just using this program alone, besides the convenience, besides the peace of mind, you're saving thousands of dollars. So on both the buyer side as well as the seller side, there's just tons of benefits for you, to say the least.
Yeah, no kidding. That's actually a really good point. The fact that once you have everything settled with the buyer end, you're not so stressed about how you're going to get the next home. So you can really take your time and look for the strongest offer on your home.
Exactly.
Because I know when you're working, trying to figure out doing both at the same time, you're really trying to find the offer that will work most with you on a timeline.
Exactly.
But now you can work with a stronger financed offer.
Exactly. And trust me, I've seen it happen so many times, right? Where they've got greater offers, but let's say they're asking for 45 days, but hey, this guy's, offering less, but he does a 21 day. Well, I have to take his because I'm already buying this new house, right? That's a lot of money. And it adds up. So why sacrifice that additional equity that you'd be getting in your pocket when you can do it right, take your time, get that sold, right? And ensure that you get the best deal possible for that property you're selling.
Yep. Now, you mentioned something there that I was kind of interested in. You mentioned a rent back. Yes. And so I'm assuming that ties into how they're paying for, both of these mortgages at the same time.
Right.
So are they paying mortgage on their old house and on their new house at the same time, or what happens?
Yeah, good question. So first of all, it's really going to be case to case as far as how quickly they're selling that property, right? So when we buy that property cash, there is that rent back, and it does depend on how much that property is as far as how much they're paying, right? Yeah. For example, right? It's about $700 per, let me see here. I just had it up here. It's about $700 per 100,000 of that purchase price. Right. So let's say, for example, they're buying a house for 200,000, right? Their rent back for an entire 30 days is only $1,400 after they're moved into that property, right? Now, which is pretty good, right? Now,
that's less than I paid for rent like 10 years ago.
Exactly. So as far as paying their mortgage, as I said, it is case to case, right? You are still, required to make your mortgage payment, right? We don't want you to miss that, of course, but it really does depend on how quickly you're closing, right? So you might have a mortgage payment that you are making once you are in that rent back. But again, it really comes down to case by case. And once we get you pre-approved, once we discuss the property you're selling, we can get more into detail as far as, what the best avenue to go about that is.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. All right. That all sounds pretty good so far.
Yeah.
Obviously, with any of these programs to offer all these bells and whistles to give them all this leverage, there's got to be some kind of incentive or something that, catch. So what is the real catch with this program?
Yeah, no, good point. The catch is that there is a fee, right? Now, when it comes to industry standards with other companies that are trying to do something similar to this, we're blowing them out of the water, right? It's only a 1.5% fee. And there's two ways to pay that. Number one, they can pay it at closing. As simple as it sounds, 1.5% of that new purchase price, that is the cost for us to do this program. And I want to be very straightforward with you. This is not a cost that we're charging onto our buyers to make more money, right? This is a cost to pay our new employees that are doing this program for us per se, right?
Yeah.
As I said earlier, with the fact that you're saving 12% on average from that purchase, the 1.5% is a wash. It's nothing compared to what you're actually looking at in the end. Now, second, to say the least, right? I mean, you're looking at 10% plus in profit. Now, when it comes to the second option, you can roll it in. All right. Now, the way that we would do that is we would have to ensure that that appraisal comes in high enough to cover that difference. Now, I usually recommend against that unless they, of course, want that cash in their pocket, because why add that to interest, right?
Yeah.
So if they've got the cash, especially going back to the contingent buyers, just use the equity, get rid of that fee. Your mortgage will be less because you're getting a cash buyer. So your purchase price is going to be less. So all in all, the 1.5% is essentially paid by itself, plus more.
Yeah. And I mean, on the realtor side here, I mentioned this in the other video, but CoreLogic and Realist Tax and all this, they analyze the numbers and in real estate, in all the markets across the US basically. And they found that in the past year through 2021, prices went up 20%.
Yeah.
January alone of this year, 2022, prices shot up 2%. So a 1.5% fee to get in closed, within 30 days could potentially be saving people 0.5% of what their home would cost if they waited to close.
Easily. Yeah. I mean, it's a very small fee. I mean, and think about it like this, right? The higher the purchase price, the higher that monthly mortgage payment, right? So you're saving on a monthly basis as well as the out-of-pocket basis, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's saving you tons of money no matter how you look at it, right? To money, time, convenience, it's an overall best way to get into a house right now.
Yeah, and not to mention interest rates going up a little bit too, actually.
They were
They were 2.5% like last year, and then blink of an eye.
Yeah.
What are they now? Like 5%?
Pretty much, yeah. With New American, we're privately owned, right? So we don't have any stockholders, we don't have investors. We are actually a servicer as well, right? So we look at our clients as more of a long-term investment, right? We want your friends, your family. So we won't lose on interest rate, especially with the cash buyer program, because we're giving that $2,500 credit, right? So we can utilize that cash to go ahead and buy your interest rate down to make sure you get the lowest in the market, right? But yeah, we are approaching the 5s at this point, and we only see them going up right now. So that's why it's really important we get people moved in, get their house on that name, and really get that name on the house, of course, and really start building that equity.
Nice. So the only real catch is just that upfront 1.5%, but you guys are also offering $2,500 as a kind of, reward to help them either pay down their interest or do something else with it to try and make it a little bit more affordable.
Exactly. And that 1.5% is paid at closing, right? So you're not paying that right up front. It is paid at closing. But as discussed, it is a very small price to pay for the overall fact that you're saving tons more than with that 1.5% when it comes down to it.
Oh my God, especially in the like 900 to 1.1 range in LA here, where people are going crazy with the bids.
Right.
So speaking of kind of crazy bids, the appraisal, how does the appraisal system work for you guys? I know you have a little bit of a different appraisal than most lenders do right now for the cashback program.
Yeah, good question. So we essentially get that appraisal out there as soon as possible, right? As long as it comes in at value, we're good to go. That's all we're really looking for. And it's very similar to a traditional appraisal, right? So we'll get them out there, ensure that it's at value, and that's essentially it. right? Once we get that back, we'll confirm with everyone that we're still good to go, see if they want to roll in that cost as discussed, if assuming that it does come in high. But at the end of the day, that's it. Simple appraisal, very straightforward. We try to keep it as similar as a normal traditional financing as possible, while still giving you the benefits of the cash program. Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of these other programs that our competitors are doing, which going back to the fact that, as I said, that 1.5 is very low compared to our main competitors, they're making it very difficult, right? I don't want people looking at this as a non-QM. I don't want people looking at this as some weird untraditional mortgage. This is still, at the end of the day, a conventional mortgage, right? Whether it's a conventional, VA, FHA. So at the end of the day, it is a very similar appraisal guideline than you'd find in normal financing.
Fantastic. All right. Next question I had here from my sellers is, who would be the ideal candidate and how would they get started with this program?
Yeah, good question. So, there's a few different options for people as far as getting started, and there's a few different buyers or sellers that we want to target with this, right? Number one is contingent sellers, right? We do not want people losing their offers because they're saying, hey, I've got a buyer that's buying my property that might fall through from their mortgage because they're going with, God knows who, right? Or they might decide not to buy it. It's really about getting those contingent buyers offers accepted without having to make a contingency part of that negotiation, right? Simply cutting that contingency out of that negotiation is going to get your offers accepted way easier. And when you add the fact that your offer is a cash offer, it blows the sellers out of the park. Right? I mean, they've got no worry on their end. They've got no worry about the contingency. They've got no worry about the financing. So there's no issue with them saying, hey, let's take Bob's offer, right? There is no risk with Bob's offer. It's as straightforward as it is, especially with that pre-approval confirming that, hey, they're approved, right? They're not pre-qualified. They're not, a flimsy pre-approval. These guys are underwritten ahead of time, right? So it's really targeting the people that, number one, they're trying to sell their property, but they don't have time to sell it, right? And they want to move in. It allows them to take their time, move in, and sell it after they're already living in their new property. So that's the biggest demographic we're looking at, is those contingent offers. But it's also for people that are looking at saving cash, right? Saving money, paying as little interest as they can possible, simply due to having that cash offer and going back to the, the savings, 10 to 12%, right? So it's for people that are ready to get it done, right? I mean, ready to stop losing offers, to stop running around wasting their time, right? It's really a tool to allow people to say, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm as good as it gets. Take my offer. Let's go.
And sellers are hearing it from realtors right now, that, no matter what, the home will definitely sell unless you price it for like it's worth twice what it is. It will sell.
Right. Yeah.
So the real issue is always going to be on the buyer's end right now, because it is a absolute seller's market.
Yeah, exactly.
So just so I can kind of summarize everything here. So for sellers, they would be selling their home after they already got their first offer secured on their home. Once they close all that, they have 14 days to get their home on the market and get it sold. And, then starts ticking in 90 days after they get in the market. They have 90 days to actually get it sold.
Correct. And I want to clarify the 90 days, right? Going back to New American being a privately owned company, we don't have stockholders or investors telling us how to do things or what to do, right? Everything that we do is a case-by-case basis, right? So if we have, issues, if we go over the, let's say you take too long to sell your property or something like that, we're here to work with you, right? I mean, we're not saying, hey, this is set in stone 90 days. That's what we expect, of course, because, we want to get it done, right? We don't want you sitting there for 90 days worrying about it, right? But at the end of the day, we're here to work with people. I've been here for, almost 10 years now, right? And there's a reason why. The company, I always tell my clients, we're big enough to get things done, but small enough to care, So it's really about us helping them out, kind of looking at everything case by case. So yeah, that's the only thing, 90 days. But if you do have any issues, if we have any, special circumstances, we're here to work with you.
Perfect. And then in terms of the buying side here. So if you were a contingent seller selling your home and putting an offer, basically the other sellers, the ones you're putting an offer on, they're comparing you to other sellers, and your program is basically saying, hey, look, this is a straight cash offer.
Right.
You don't have to worry about this other house.
Right.
And the person you're competing with doing the almost exact same thing, whether they're, selling to downsize and they're going to have all cash at the end of the sale, or if they have a little cash on hand and they're looking to sell theirs and use that extra cash to upgrade their home.
Mhm.
Either way, the seller of this other property they want to buy is looking at them and saying, okay, so our deal closing is contingent on your deal selling, your buyers performing, and everything appraised in your home. Then you put a cash offer on our home. So we're going to be waiting 30, 60, 90 days for you to close.
Exactly.
But with your program, it's 14 days before the seller gets their cash basically secured.
14 days for the seller to get their cash, 14 days for the buyer to move in, right? And let's be honest, when it comes down to it, on the seller side of things, they just care about you buying it, right? So on their side, it closes in 14 days, right? I mean, you've got a 14-day closing with no issues, no contingencies, all cash. They'd have to be crazy to take someone else's offer, assuming that you're fully approved with buyer's accepted program, right? I mean, it alleviates so much stress on the seller side. It allows them to take your offer confidently, right? And that really comes back to that savings, is that they're willing to take that small pricing hit, right? They're willing to drop that price a bit because you're saying, hey, I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to play games here and possibly have your property get taken off the market for 30 days just to be put back up in 30 days from now. It's really just about making sure that everyone is good to go and that seller's not buying it or not worrying about it, right? So there's no reason as to why they take someone else's offer over yours.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. We do absolutely everything we can for our buyers, no matter what. We write these beautiful cover letters, we print their offers on silk and send it in. We can do everything we want, but 99% of the sellers will hear like two things: how soon will it close, and what's the price I'm going to get on
exactly
this?
right.
So this really answers those two questions, and then we finesse the lavender scented offer beyond there.
Exactly.
So,
right.
Very simple, very straightforward. I think this is going to be a very reliable program for a lot of people. But that's all the questions I really had on my end here. Is there anything else you think that sellers should know about the program?
As of right now, no. I think everything is very straightforward. It's really just about making you competitive and getting your offers accepted, right? And not having to have you worry about everything else, right? So, Serge is going to have my information at the end of this video. Everything will be there. If you have additional questions, concerns, issues, I'm more than happy to explain everything. Give me a call, not a problem.
Wonderful. I am Sergey Evangelista with Century 21, and I was speaking with Shane Prince of New American Funding. His contact information will be right here. Feel free to give him a call to ask about the Buyer Accepted program.